Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach. We're counting down the days until WrestleMania. I'm sure I'm all fired up. This video is going to be talking all about basically all of the matches that are going to be going down at WrestleMania. The upcoming show is going to have, Roman Reigns going up against Brock Lesnar. These guys are going to be going out there and they're going to be beating the hell out of each other. Roman Reigns has a lot to prove. He needs to go out there and basically deliver a great match that a lot of people are going to be wanting to see. When it comes down to it, is it going to be WrestleMania 19? Is it going to be Kurt Angle going up against Brock Lesnar? No, I don't think so. But definitely, they're going to have to, find some way to get Roman Reigns over with this crowd, seeing how more than likely Brock is going to be leaving. There's always that question mark of maybe, WWE's going to pull a surprise out of their hat. They're going to find a way to re-sign Brock Lesnar. That they were going over some sort of terms on Monday when Brock got upset and he left Monday Night Raw. So, maybe there's just this surprise where Brock beats Roman, and maybe they go on this sort of, Roman Reigns with the chase. Maybe that'll get people a little bit more excited into seeing what was going down, instead of just people just slamming the door on Roman Reigns and basically having a WrestleMania 29 main event again where the crowd is walking away from the show as the guys are still wrestling inside of the ring, even though it's Rock and John Cena. From there, you got Sting going up against Triple H, basically, two of the biggest legends of the Attitude Era that are still going at it today. They called the WrestleMania 28 an end of an era, basically, because they said nobody from that era would be going at it again. But here we are in one of the big matches. Sting finally making his WWE debut, getting into the ring, having a match. Maybe they'll work some sort of a stipulation into what's going down. Basically, Triple H is pissed that Sting is coming out of the shadows to basically finally make a run in WWE, and that run is basically trying to make Triple H's life living hell. Triple H has spent this time burying WCW for what it was. Is Sting really trying to get even with his company WCW closing so many years ago and not being open? They need to find a way to get that into this a little bit, finding why Sting has been making his appearances. He has yet to been able to speak in any of his promos, but I'm sure we're going to have an answer before sooner or later. But that is the match that I'm most, fired up about. You got the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I think this is going to be a lot of talent that just don't really have a space on there. We've been seeing the Sheamus returns promos basically on Monday Night Raw for the past few weeks. In my mind, I think Sheamus is going to be the guy to take that match and go from there. Lots of news coming out this week with the upcoming, ladder match with Wade Barrett putting his title on the line, more than likely with Dean Ambrose. Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, R-Truth, and more than likely somebody else going to be added into the mix. Somebody's going to beat Wade Barrett in a non-title match on SmackDown or Raw. That's how they're going to get their golden ticket into this match. And, people have been looking for a Money in the Bank match for a long time, and now we finally get this match. So I'm kind of excited to see what goes down with this. John Cena looking to get his revenge on Rusev, if he's going to be able to find a way to talk him in to this match going down. WrestleMania has been a trip that I've been going on since WrestleMania 26, minus the WrestleMania 29 trip. At WrestleMania 27, I started a great tradition going with my friends. There's going to be a lot to do in town. I'm looking forward to hanging out with these guys. Honestly, when I look at this WrestleMania 31 card, I get a little bit more excited every day. I was really down on the jerks on this about a week ago, just being pissed off about certain things. But, it's going to be, it is what it is, I was sort of looking at this like it might be one of the worst WrestleManias that I've ever attended, but I'm going to have fun. I'm going to have a ton of fun hanging out the whole weekend with my friends. You got WrestleCon. You got, WrestleMania Access is always fun. The WrestleCon Wrestling Show, Kaiju Big Battle, the Ring of Honor show with Samoa Joe making his return to the company. Lots of big things are going to be going all over Santa Clara that week, so I'm all fired up for it. Hopefully you guys are too, and we'll see what goes down, because basically this is going to be a damn good one. Lots of people looking forward to Dallas, well, I'm looking forward to Santa Clara. I put some good money into this trip, and I'm going to make it the best. All right, surprising to me, we've had another official announcement of another WrestleMania 31 match. Already we have Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, Triple H versus Sting, and now seems to be setting up the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which made its debut last year. Of course, that was a match that was sort of made by your WrestleMania 30 guest host, Hulk Hogan, sort of putting over the fact that the WWE Network and one of the greatest WWE performers of all time, Andre the Giant, of course, the first WWE Hall of Famer that was inducted way back in the day at the King of the Ring pay-per-view. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Honestly, last year, when you look back at what the match was and what we thought it was going to be, honestly, it didn't really live up to the hype. You know, they named 30 guys into the Battle Royal. When you looked at it, there was no legends, there was no surprise returns. There was a lot of people thinking that Rob Van Dam, who did debut the next night on Monday Night Raw, making his comeback to the company after I don't know, probably 6-month layoff from his first run back. That run really didn't mean as much as the last one. Some people thought that Chris Jericho was going to make his return, but instead he held off until before SummerSlam, coming back for the Bray Wyatt feud. There was no legends. There was not really much going on. You know, people thought that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal was going to be the uplifting of some minor star that would push them over the top. Definitely, as you can see with Cesaro getting the win, they do like to put the picture of him hoisting Big Show over the top rope with that huge big slam, but you get to see the picture of Cesaro with the trophy, but the trophy really led to the breakup of the Real Americans. It led to Cesaro becoming a Paul Heyman guy, which is a much forgotten storyline that was in WWE, where basically Paul Heyman, to be kept on television, was managing Cesaro. And then just all of a sudden, one day, Cesaro came up to Triple H and said that he was no longer a Paul Heyman guy. He wanted to be a Triple H guy. There was no hard feelings between Paul Heyman and Cesaro. There was no storyline that led to the breakup. The week later, Cesaro was defending Paul Heyman and they didn't reunite. It's just nothing. They act like it never really happened. Of course, you know that the trophy got broken. Basically, I think it was Swagger that actually broke it. I'm not 100% sure. Should have remembered my guy. The best thing was during the match that was on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania was Paul Heyman now managing his new, his new client, holding up just the Andre the Giant part of the trophy. There was no base. There was no nothing. I was really hoping that they would fix the Andre the Giant Memorial trophy. I thought that they would maybe glue it back together or just get him another one, and Cesaro would be carrying the trophy everywhere he went, hoisting it over his head, showing how big it was. Nothing. But the match was just dropped by The Miz, talking about he was going to win the Battle Royal this year. He was one of the guys that I thought had a chance to win it. Always going to be one of my favorites. But then really put over by Ryback, talking about how he had never been eliminated from the Royal Rumble, and he was still going strong in that match. Even though we've seen him lose matches to Dean Ambrose, we saw him lose a match to Ryback. I think it was Dean Ambrose setting up their match, just came out and threw him over the top rope, to say, there, now you're done. Quit your complaining, quit your bitching. Let's have a match. Let's get it done. But, Ryback, Kurt Axel, and The Miz, all named for the WrestleMania 31 Battle Royal. Ryback, of course, he was, looking big. He looked really strong. I think that's going to be my new thing for the WrestleMania 31 videos. It's been a few months, but it's still, I think it's stronger now than it once was. But Ryback looked real good in that 6-man going up there against Seth Rollins, Big Show, and Corporate Kane. I know it was Ziggler who ended up getting beat in that match, and I think Ziggler ends up coming on Monday Night Raw, beats Wade Barrett. So we'll have to see what goes down, but we'll see. I'm glad to have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal back for WrestleMania 31. Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. Today was a special day. It was the 31 days till WrestleMania countdown started today. Basically, Stephanie McMahon, John Cena, and Hulk Hogan all flew in to San Jose, and they toured all around all the big techie places around the home of WrestleMania 31. They went to the home of Google. They went to the home of Twitter. During this, they put up on Facebook breaking news, basically saying that the Intercontinental Champion, Bad News Barrett, would be defending his Intercontinental Championship in a multi-superstar ladder match at WrestleMania 31. Honestly, I couldn't believe that it was 31 days until WrestleMania. And before long, we'll be pulling up all into San Jose. I'll be picking up my friends at the airport. I'll be giving the big high fives and telling these guys I can't believe it's been so long since I saw them last. And the next thing I know, it's going to be Saturday night. I'm going to be laying down to go to bed, and I'm going to have that same thought that I have every year, that basically tomorrow's WrestleMania. We're going to be going home soon. I got to make these next 2 days count because they're going to be big. It's so long. You think you plan out this WrestleMania trip, and it's crazy how fast it comes. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're mostly going to be talking all about this ladder match and what's going down. Basically, the build for this whole ladder match is Bad News Barrett keeps losing these non-title matches. So he has so many contenders that are out there. We've seen this guy lose to R-Truth, basically the night after becoming the Intercontinental Champion, when basically the Authority was mad at Dolph Ziggler for being on Team Cena at Survivor Series. Once they came back, they basically put him in a match that there's no chance that he was going to be able to win. Bad News Barrett took the Intercontinental Championship, and it looked like he was going to go on a good little run, but instead he showed up to SmackDown the next night and lost a non-title match to R-Truth, and everybody was scratching their head, sort of making fun of Barrett at the time. And it seems that WWE actually had a plan when they did this. From there, Dolph Ziggler would beat Wade Barrett in a non-title match. I believe that was on Monday Night Raw. At Fastlane, Wade Barrett walked out with the victory, but basically he got his ass kicked the whole night because the match was stopped due to disqualification because of Dean Ambrose not letting up on kicking Wade Barrett while he was down into the corner. Dean Ambrose basically got to the point where he felt he won the match, but basically he did not get the Intercontinental Championship, even though he walked out with it that night, and basically is now in control of the Intercontinental title. There's so many guys that are out there that basically WWE is going to be bringing back the ladder match to WrestleMania. Basically, the last time we had one of the big Money in the Bank spectaculars was at WrestleMania 26 when Jack Swagger won it, and then of course the next year it was branded into its own pay-per-view, basically hosting two of the Money in the Bank ladder matches, one for the Raw brand and one for the SmackDown. Once the brands were sort of killed off, from there, and the titles were unified to where only having one title. On 1 year, they just went with one ladder match. That was, of course, the year that they brought Rob Van Dam back. But last year, due to the title being stripped, WWE had the awesome idea of having one of the ladder matches at Money in the Bank be just for the championship, but then also having one of the Future Stars matches, which was won by Seth Rollins, who's still carrying around his at this time. So, since WrestleMania 27, when they took the Money in the Bank away, fans have often been, wondering when the ladder match or the Money in the Bank match would be returning to WrestleMania. It's something that they've really been clamoring for. I can remember when they did the first one that was won by Edge, had Shelton Benjamin in there, Chris Jericho, Christian. I can't remember who else I'm missing for that match, but that match honestly was as close to stealing the show as anything else honestly could be. It seemed like they took nothing and just made it everything. I don't think anybody had any expectations coming into that match because nobody really knew what to expect. And then, the way that WWE used Edge, cashing in the Money in the Bank, really added to that mystique so much more of how important it was to have that briefcase, that at any moment, at any time that a referee was present and you were inside of a WWE ring, you could have a match and become WWE champion. From there, Edge would cash in 2 times to become champion. Of course, from there you saw CM Punk cash in 2 times as well. There have been failures along the way. I don't know why I'm highlighting the Money in the Bank so much, since this is for the Intercontinental Championship, but this is going to be an awesome match, and this is going to have a lot of guys in there. I know that today I put up a video talking about Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. This morning the rumors was that it was going to be some sort of a 6-pack challenge with no ladders involved, and then all of a sudden out of the middle of nowhere this ladder match gets added. And, everybody's going bananas about this match. But even at this, I'm not really that excited about Daniel Bryan being added into the Intercontinental Championship hunt. But he's got to have a match. He's got to be on the card. And it is what it is. But as of right now, it looks like you're probably going to have, 5 or 6 guys inside of this match. So you're going to have you're going to have Dean Ambrose, you're going to have Wade Barrett, the two guys that are really fighting over the Intercontinental Championship. You're going to have R-Truth, you're going to have Dolph Ziggler, and you're going to have Daniel Bryan. Before long, who knows, I might have missed somebody, but there might be somebody else added in there, making it into a sixth man. You know that everybody's going to be wanting to get their hands on this Intercontinental title. If you cannot get on WrestleMania 31 in this Intercontinental Championship match, and then you can't get into the Intercontinental, or the Andre the Giant second Memorial Battle Royal, you're really low on WWE's card, because this is going to be featuring everybody. Zack Ryder's going to get the call. There'll probably be some NXT guys in that Andre the Giant Battle Royal as well. Alex Riley better be getting in there, because if you're not in this show, you better have one hell of an injury. They're going to make sure everybody gets that WrestleMania payday. It's going to be a good one. I honestly am really excited for this match. I feel bad that Bryan's involved, but I'm sure that all these guys are going to make the best of it. Daniel Bryan in a ladder match isn't the worst. Everybody can remember that he was a one-time World Heavyweight Champion for winning a Money in the Bank as well, so he does have some expertise in these matches. Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you, talking all about John Cena versus Rusev at WrestleMania 31. Everybody knows the storyline. We've seen this 1,000 times, basically talking all about basically John Cena going up and the WWE throwing another opponent at him, basically of, a big, huge monster heel that's come in and beat up a whole bunch of other people and finally gets fed to John Cena. Cena goes out there and loses the first match, and then Cena has to find a way to go and, retrain and get the fans behind him to push him, to a place that he's never been before. And Cena finds a way to beat this guy. And more times than not, we never see this heel ever again. We've seen it with, Umaga and Stinsky and a whole bunch of guys throughout the timeline of John Cena. Once guys get fed to John Cena, they're never worth what they once were after the feud. Basically, they followed this storyline to a T, basically with that Fastlane. John Cena and Rusev went out there and had a match. Rusev got a win, and now here we are. John Cena has to go out there on Monday Night Raw and ask for a rematch. Basically, Rusev and Lana basically being smarter heels than most other ones. Most other ones would say, I beat you once, I'll beat you again. But basically, Rusev and Lana just looked at sort of like weighing the odds and basically said, you know what? We've already beat you once. We don't have anything to gain by going into WrestleMania 31 and putting the United States Championship on the line against you. We'll just find somebody else to fight, and we'll just move on. We'll be able to say that, you know what, we had a match against John Cena, we won the match, and he's never beat us. So that's what's going to make Monday Night Raw this week a whole lot more exciting. Basically the fact that John Cena is going to be having to go out there and have to push Rusev and Lana to the edge, basically doing something to the point where basically Rusev and Lana have to put the championship on the line. Basically, maybe they're embarrassed to the point, or maybe they have to fight for the backup, Vladimir Putin. I don't think that John Cena, being the corporate kind of guy that is the corporate cookie cutter, I don't think, I don't know how much of a stronghold WWE holds in Russia. I've never really heard of them going there and touring. I've heard of them going just about everywhere else in the world. But I don't think, WWE wants to go out there and basically make Putin look like a fool, or make the Russian people look like fools, making people turn their back on John Cena, and not want to buy t-shirts and tickets and everything that goes along with the WWE. So maybe they can't push it that far. Maybe just, I don't know, John Cena, I don't know what the heck they're going to do, but they have to push him to the edge of basically doing something in order to put this up. Basically, with Rusev being a smarter heel and being able to throw a wrench into this whole situation. John Cena going after the United States Championship at Fastlane, I thought was a little bit weird. My good buddy, freaking Yaya88 at It's Miguel Yo, or just Miguel if you're friends with him like I am. He had a great tweet yesterday talking a lot about everybody being negative about John Cena going after the United States Championship belt, Daniel Bryan going after the Intercontinental title belt, and basically just said, well, what's so bad about these things? People beg for these titles to basically become legitimate once again, and Daniel Bryan and John Cena filling in these mid-card titles with Roman Reigns as your world title holder is basically meaning you're going to have 3 good matches on every pay-per-view that means something. So maybe John Cena winning that United States Championship belt, 10 years after he won the last one, maybe it won't be horrible. I'm not 100% sure I'm sold on Cena being it. I know that last year, when Vince McMahon was asked about John Cena and his placement on the WrestleMania 30 card, basically said that John Cena was in the main event last year against Bray Wyatt. Basically, that any time that, John Cena has a match inside WWE, John Cena always is going to be the WWE's main event because he is the main event player. I mean, he is the guy that they put on the backpacks and the t-shirts, the lunch boxes and the thermoses that the kids buy and they take to school. So many times, if you ask, what somebody is going to the WWE event to see, is they want to see John Cena. They want to see the man. And I know that last year I was very critical on WWE, basically putting, Bray Wyatt in this spot where he did not get a win at WrestleMania. I thought that basically Bray Wyatt is still paying for the fact that he has not got that victory last year. I know that Bray beat him at Extreme Rules, and then of course they went and they did the payback Falls Count Anywhere, I think is what it was, where basically Bray got put into the box, and I know that they tried to make it look like, Bray only couldn't get up because of the box, but Bray still lost, which ended the feud, and then, Bray went on to Jericho and Ambrose, and now, Bray is looking pretty weak going up against an Undertaker at WrestleMania 31, so I'm not 100% sure what they're going to do. All I know is that Cena is a guy that doesn't need to beat Rusev at WrestleMania. But then again, Rusev, I've said for a long time, is that Rusev, once he loses that undefeated streak, he loses that United States Championship, what is he going to be worth to the WWE? So many times we've seen guys get built up, and the only reason they're built is they're undefeated. Once they lose that streak, what's going to happen from there? So, that's the big story that WWE is going to have to fill in for me. But this is going to be a good match. This is going to be fun. I've loved Rusev the whole ride. Rusev going up against Big E Langston, Jack Swagger. These were all really good matches. I'm sure that him and Cena are really going to deliver. I liked the match at Fastlane. I liked the way the finish went down. I knew that Rusev was going to beat Cena, so I wasn't surprised. And I thought the way that Lana got into the ring and did the disqualification, not really disqualification, but, just the outside interference without making it look like she was really trying to interfere. She just, saw him get the accolade on, so she thought, the match is over, time to get in the ring and start celebrating, and the ref had to go over there, and that's what Rusev gave him, the kick in the nuts, and it was all over from there. So, WrestleMania 31, Rusev going up against Cena. It's not official yet, but we all know it's coming. I gotta be honest with you guys. Honestly, when it comes down to it, when the rumor came out back in December that the guy that was going to be taking on Undertaker was Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31, I will say that I thought that basically the information was bad. Much like last year, when basically in January, around the same time, the rumor came out that John Cena was going to be working Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 30. I think that all of us sat back and sort of laughed at it, thinking that John Cena, no way in the world was going to be taking on this guy that really had a whole lot of hype to him, but had never really beat anybody inside of WWE, and it just didn't fit. It didn't fit what Cena had done in the past. It didn't seem like it was going to be a big match, and that's almost the same thing with Bray Wyatt. I look at this match as, are they really going to sacrifice Undertaker, bringing him back to have some sort of a big sort of following behind him, using all of his fans, saying that maybe this will be the last Undertaker match. I need to go out of my way to make sure I see this, and use this as a way to sort of springboard Bray Wyatt into the superstardom that a lot of people thought that he was going to do. When I look back over the last year of Bray Wyatt, I don't really think of a guy that is a superstar. I think of a guy that had a whole bunch of boring matches that nobody really cares about, that doesn't need to be having a series of matches or even a match against The Undertaker. It doesn't really make any sense. At the end of this, I think when everybody walks away, I don't think anybody's going to win. I don't think Undertaker, I don't think Bray, I don't think the fans. I think that this right now is a horrible bad decision. I'm not the one who's going to tell Undertaker that he can't wrestle anymore. I do believe that Taker last year had what should have been his last match. I know that, WWE has him under contract, and basically, they only really pay him to go out there and wrestle one time. And I'm sure that when it comes down to it and the story all comes out, whether if Taker, I don't know, writes a book or does some sort of tell-all interview or whatever it is, I'm sure it's going to be, Triple H and Vince McMahon were knocking on his door asking him to come back. I don't think Taker needs this bullshit anymore. Taker, gave everything that he had to the business. At WrestleMania 30, he gave one of the most important things in WWE history. I'll honestly tell you that I didn't think the streak meant anything until it was finally broken. I made videos basically saying that I thought the streak should be broken because there's no way that Undertaker should be able to walk away from WWE keeping that title and not giving anything back. Honestly, I thought that Brock Lesnar was the wrong guy to beat the streak, but look what it really did for Brock. I mean, Brock really didn't need it, but I mean, it shot Brock out of being basically a borderline guy that WWE paid a whole lot of money to come in with a whole bunch of hype, who never really paid off in the long run. You saw Brock come in. He had the huge match against John Cena, UFC against WWE. Brock then went on to have matches against Triple H that nobody cared about. He went on and had a match against CM Punk that nobody cared about. And, he pulls up into WrestleMania 30. He beats Undertaker. He beats the streak. From there, that sort of shotguns him into the main event of SummerSlam, where, of course, he wins the title from John Cena. And now here he is at WrestleMania 31 taking on the Royal Rumble winner and the guy who beat last year's champion at Fastlane, Roman Reigns, the next star of the WWE. It sort of set off the chain of events to set off the next big superstar. Why you didn't, sort of save Roman Reigns versus Undertaker and just have Roman beat him himself? Maybe it's just because WWE wanted to have that picture-perfect storyline ending of Roman being the champion at WrestleMania, their biggest show of the year. Maybe they didn't want to go on some sort of a 2 or 3 year storyline. They just wanted to get this done as fast as possible. They want to find their next John Cena. They want to find their next Hulk Hogan. I'm not sure. But, when I weigh all the options that happen in this match, let's say, Bray Wyatt goes out at WrestleMania 31 and loses to The Undertaker. What does Bray get out of that? Does he get any kind of rub because he wrestled Taker at WrestleMania? It's going to be honestly the same thing as it was last year, when basically I thought that it could have really saved the Bray Wyatt character and really shot him in the right direction if Bray would have beat Cena at WrestleMania, because that is the match that everyone's going to remember. No one's going to remember what happened at Extreme Rules. No one's going to remember what happened at Payback. No one's going to remember anything else. People remember WrestleMania because it's the show that the casual wrestling fan will buy, because as a kid, they watched WrestleMania 7, they watched WrestleMania 8, they watched, WrestleMania 16, and, it's always a big thing. It's WrestleMania. It's WWE's Super Bowl. It's the biggest night of action that that WWE's to deliver their best show of the year. It's their way of showing off, saying this is who we are, and this is what we build up for. Everybody flies into wherever they're going to, whether if it's this year at San Jose or next year in Dallas, Texas. WWE has been able to put on a destination vacation getaway to watch their biggest show of the year and bring in tons and tons of money to their pocketbook. If Taker goes out there and beats Bray, does that get any revenge on, Brock Lesnar ending the streak? Does he get to walk away from his career saying that, he did lose at WrestleMania 30, but at least he walked away with a win under his belt? Doesn't anybody ever really think about Stone Cold Steve Austin's last match at WrestleMania 19, saying that, Stone Cold lost his last match to The Rock, so his career is any less important than what it once was, with beating The Rock and never losing to him at WrestleMania? No. it doesn't help Taker at all. So I don't see how anybody wins from this. I don't really see this as a match that people are going to be circling on their calendar saying, I can't wait to the end of March to get WrestleMania 31 so I can see Taker versus Bray Wyatt. This is a big, huge dream match that I've always wanted to see for a long time. No, it's just going to be a match in the middle of the card with a guy that is a huge legend, that deserves his day in the sun of going into the WWE Hall of Fame someday. Hopefully sooner than later. Lots of rumors about 32. Still, people want to put him out there and see him have a retirement match at WrestleMania 32 against Sting, thinking that WWE is going to have to use the legends in order to sell the show. Like it's going to be some sort of Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view from back in the late 90s, and I don't know. Everybody knows how that turned out. If you've never seen it, look it up on YouTube, and you will basically be done with life at the end of that show, if you even can make it all the way through the whole deal. But fun times had by all. I can't wait for WrestleMania, even if we do get Taker versus Bray, which I think is coming. Lots of rumors about WWE keeping Taker off of television. I don't know if it's because they don't want to show Taker and show what he looks like, or maybe they just don't want to have him get into fisticuffs. Maybe they want to get Bray Wyatt's promos over. But now that at least we know that Bray Wyatt is calling out The Undertaker, the promos have got a lot better. They seem like they have a direction to him now. Before, he was just floating out sort of trigger words that make you think that he was talking about Taker. And, praise the Lord that, it didn't pay off, that he was talking about Randy Orton or, I don't know, Jimmy Snuka or anybody from the past. Taker versus Bray. Let's get it on. WrestleMania 31. Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you tonight talking all about WrestleMania 31 and the big match that's on the card. Randy Orton going up against Seth Rollins. Honestly, this is going to be one of the best matches on the card for the night. I've been one to say that honestly in the past I've never been a big Randy Orton fan. I've always found Randy Orton really boring, no matter if he's a babyface or whether he's a heel. I will say that he does play a very good babyface, but I think that he is a better heel in the long run. He has a lot of fans no matter which side of the world he's on. If he's, the good guy or if he's a bad guy, he's always going to sell a lot of t-shirts. He's always going to have a lot of fans hooting and hollering for him. No matter how bad this guy is, people still deep down respect this guy. And I've always said that Randy Orton has had a lot of good matches. He just seems to do the same stuff night in and night out to me. And I've never really clicked with him and never been really on the same page. But, following the storyline that's going on, I've never been behind Orton as much as I am right now. And I will say that I kept on thinking the comeback was coming, and maybe that his return took a little bit longer than when I thought it was going to be. But I think now that we're actually here, now that Randy returned at Fastlane, now that we're actually going to get this match, I think I'm behind this match, and I think I really am into it. Basically you go all the way back to Survivor Series, when Seth Rollins delivered the double curb stomp on Monday Night Raw, basically, kicking Randy Orton out of the Authority. Seth Rollins took over as being, instead of being the future of the Authority, he was Mr. Right Now. And Randy was gone. There was lots of rumors whether Randy was a return at Survivor Series, Randy was a return at TLC, was Randy going to return at the Rumble, and all those things would have been nice if they would have happened. But Randy Orton had a good fresh break. I think they said he's been gone from the WWE for 6 months, and now that he's here, we have a nice fresh matchup. Randy Orton against Seth Rollins. It's a match that we've been wanting since basically before November, maybe even into October, when these guys first started really bickering back and forth, and it really got, ugly between them. And Triple H and Stephanie kept on having to find ways to glue these guys together, telling them that they were better together than they are apart. And, now that Randy's back, this match wasn't wasted on, an appearance in the Royal Rumble where these two guys fought for a minute, or, it wasn't wasted on an opportunity like Fastlane, much like the Goldust versus Stardust inaugural match. I know that when you look at that Goldust versus Stardust match, it didn't have a lot of buzz and it didn't really connect with people, but I don't think that it has anything left to where if that is a WrestleMania match, it's going to get people connected to it as much. People, I don't think, are going to be into that rematch. There was a little bit of buzz for the first match. Not going to be any for that second one. But basically, Randy versus Seth is the match that the people have been looking for because people want fresh things in WWE right now. And this is the one thing that we've never seen before. This whole storyline, to me, bottles all the way back to SummerSlam of... I guess that would be 2013 when Daniel Bryan wins the WWE Championship by beating John Cena. John Cena picked Daniel Bryan out of the whole locker room. He could have picked anybody he wanted to face at SummerSlam. He could have picked the easiest opponent. He could have picked the hardest opponent. You can debate on, where he picked Daniel Bryan from, but I think he picked Daniel Bryan because of the fact John Cena wanted to fight the guy that was in the locker room that kept on collecting wins, had more of the fans behind him more than anybody else. He wanted to fight Daniel Bryan to win those fans over. Basically by saying, you've seen me beat Randy Orton 1,000 times. You've seen me beat Mark Henry, you've seen me beat the Great Khali, anything that's been stacked up against me, but this is a fresh match that we've never seen before. Daniel Bryan versus John Cena. He seems to be the guy that, has all the fans in the palm of their hands. Let's go out and let's get this done. And Daniel Bryan shocks the world, beating John Cena at SummerSlam, having the big moments of the confetti flying and the music playing, everybody yes, 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 and there's tears crying from the fans that are out there in the thing. Daniel Bryan turns around, eats a pedigree. Randy Orton runs down, cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase. 1, 2, 3. Daniel Bryan is screwed out of his first time as champion, and Randy Orton gets moved to the forefront of the Authority, basically becoming the go-to guy that Daniel Bryan has to fight because Triple H is pushing him out there. And there was times when Randy would be able to beat Bryan, and there's times when they had to cheat to be able to beat him, or Bryan would just overcome and be this embarrassment on top of the Authority that Randy wasn't able to get it done. And Stephanie and Triple H were constantly having to try and give him pep talks, and they were trying to give this thing, get back to what you always used to be. And it comes up Seth Rollins a year later. He wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. He becomes this guy with the golden ticket to become a WWE Championship. He's trying to push Randy Orton out of the way, and finally on Monday Night Raw, tempers just boil over. These two guys actually get into a match. The Authority grants because they just want the bickering to stop. And, they just want, you guys to go out there and fight. And then after this, you guys are on, the Team Authority going into Survivor Series. You beat each other up for a few minutes, you get it off your chest, and then you guys go in there as teammates and you beat Team Cena, because basically, if Team Cena wins, the Authority were kaplunk and everything would have been gone from there. But Stephanie gives the orders that Triple H is the last call. He pushes the distress button, and Seth Rollins delivers the double curb stomp to Randy Orton, and presto, dude's gone for 6 months. Like I said, I'm glad to say this match wasn't wasted on a Fastlane or a Royal Rumble appearance. This is WrestleMania. One of the one times that I've ever been fired up about this. 1,000 ways you can go about this. You can think of, this is Randy Orton's first time as a babyface in a long time, since 2010 in WWE, when he turned around SummerSlam time. Maybe you can say turned a little bit earlier than that. Maybe he turned around WrestleMania 26. But, that was the first time that I really noticed how over Randy was in my mind. That's when it finally, really took off with him going up against Sheamus and things like that. Before the SummerSlam, I sort of looked at him as sort of like a heel that was trying to play babyface. But SummerSlam weekend is when it just really flipped, and he became, what he was. Seth Rollins, he's a guy with the Money in the Bank briefcase. You got to think that maybe he might become the #1 contender. You would think that Randy versus Seth Rollins is something that they got to keep hot, because this is what WWE normally does for a feud, is that goes 2 or 3 months. But then you look at the main event, you got Roman Reigns going up against Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns, if he wins this and Brock Lesnar doesn't resign, who does Roman Reigns go against? Who is the #1 contender for the Extreme Rules show. Does Daniel Bryan get, promoted out of the mid-card in the Intercontinental Championship match, a match that he might not even win? Or, does one of these guys get treated like it's a number one contenders match? We only get one match. We don't get a whole-on feud. Where does it go from there? I mean, that's the storyline that I want to see where we're going. Lots of weeks of Monday Night Raw to go here. There's a few more weeks of a build, 4 more. But Randy versus Seth is one of the matches that I'm really pumped for. Really excited for Sting and Triple H as well. Roman versus Brock has a lot of things in the background going on with Brock Lesnar's departure from WWE. You think that he might do something crazy because of what happened with him showing up at UFC, but you got to think that Brock's going to stay the course. He wants this contract to end after WrestleMania. He doesn't want to get held up in any kind of litigation, so don't want to get sued. Want to get paid as soon as he can. So we'll see what happens from here. WrestleMania 31, baby. Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. I'm on the road. I'm working one of my days off, trying to make some of that extra WrestleMania 31 cash. Today should pay for my day. My store run through the WrestleMania Superstore, buying up on my WWE shop merch. So I'm glad to do it, even though my voice is a little bad. I still have that thing living in my throat in there. Hopefully that thing will pass sooner than later. But honestly, I touched on this a little bit in my video that I made yesterday, talking about Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt, with the rumor that WWE was going to be keeping Undertaker off television until after the Royal Rumble. The match that is the main event to me at WrestleMania will be Sting versus Triple H. I didn't think it was going to be. I honestly wasn't really that excited for Sting to come to WWE. I was on the record saying basically, Sting, I need you to basically show up. I need you to go into the Hall of Fame. I need you to fight Undertaker. And I need you to have a documentary 3-disc set come out. We've got half of those things accomplished. He did show up. He made his debut in the WWE. They gave us a 3-disc set that did not have a documentary on it. So I'll give you half a star on that one. But honestly, to me, I was sort of negative on them, with bringing him in at Survivor Series, thinking that it was going to build to him and Triple H. I didn't think that it was going to be a worthwhile build. I still don't think I'm 100% on board with what they're doing right now with the whole WCW versus WWE. The one thing that I know that will make this better is the build of just how many people are behind Sting, and knowing that I am one of the few guys that's going to be behind Triple H. I'll be behind Triple H, knowing that even more than likely this doesn't make any sense for Sting to win this. For Sting to lose this match. This should be 100% lock that Sting is going to beat Triple H. Where they go from there, I've got no clue. I know there's a lot of people out there thinking that Sting will wrestle at WrestleMania 32 once again. Basically, with him, going up against Undertaker in that, WrestleMania Dream match. I think that if there's any WrestleMania Dream match for me that involves Undertaker, I want to see Undertaker versus John Cena. This is a match that we haven't seen since way back in probably 2002, maybe 2003, somewhere in this time period where I wasn't 100% watching WWE at the time. So I know about it, but I've never seen it myself. And when you think about the guy with the big WrestleMania streak, never going up against the guy who was the face of the WWE for so long, and John Cena, it doesn't really make any sense to me. It makes me scratch my head while John Cena was this guy who was able to go up against any challenge and always overcome that challenge. Why he would never attempt to go up against The Undertaker. Even, Cena takes fights that he knows that he's going to lose because he's up for any challenge. And the gravest challenge was right in front of him the whole time, and he never decided to take it. Triple H versus Sting, with Triple H delivering 100% of the promos, is going to be 100% knockout of the park. Sometimes Triple H goes out there for those 20-minute promos, rambling on about things that he's involved in, because he is the authority, and he sort of is the face of the WWE right now as the COO company man. Sort of with his hand in everything from NXT to running Monday Night Raw and this, that, and the other. you know, as long as they keep Sting from not talking, and I don't even think that Sting's going to appear on every Raw from here on out, you know, it can only get better, because Triple H is the kind of guy, he's not going to go out there and say the same thing over and over and over again. He's going to try and make every promo a little bit better and make it a little bit different. And just because they've been touching on WCW as of late makes me think that I don't think he's going to go out there and blatantly say TNA Impact Wrestling. But I think that he's going to have to throw it in Sting's face that not only did he pick a losing horse once, but he picked it twice. Once this match comes down to be at WrestleMania 31, Sting, you know, is a guy who's had good matches. In my opinion, he hasn't had great matches. He did have a match in TNA. It might have been against Kurt Angle. It was one of the last, you know, real good matches that Sting had. And Triple H is the kind of guy who he doesn't wrestle a lot anymore, but he was great at what he did. And the last two matches that he's had have always, you know, been, you know, matches that have really, you know, stolen the show. The matches against Undertaker, maybe not the matches against Brock. I shouldn't have brought those up. Not really helping my cause out right now. They weren't that fun, but everybody knows Triple H is one of my favorite wrestlers. When I heard he was going up against Sting, I wasn't with it, but I'm on board now, and it's gonna be fun to see Brock beat. Oh no, I apologize, I screwed that up. It's gonna be fun to see Roman Reigns beat Brock Lesnar. To say that you were at the beginning of something. You know, everybody might be down on Roman Reigns right now, but Roman Reigns is going to be the champion. I could see it being a good long run for him, and it is the guy that they think is going to be the John Cena, is going to be The Rock, is going to be Hulk Hogan, the guy that's going to take over for the WWE, and it's going to be fun to say that I was there when that went down and that happened. So, hope everybody has a good day today. I'll see you guys on down the road. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with the main event of WrestleMania 31. We've known this one for a little bit. Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble, being the 2015 Royal Rumble winner. Brock Lesnar, of course, beating John Cena for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. Everybody knows now that, you know, Brock Lesnar was supposed to beat Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. It wasn't supposed to be John Cena. John Cena filled in for the injured Daniel Bryan and took the whipping boy match that SummerSlam was supposed to be, with basically Brock Lesnar being too big and too strong and just dominating Daniel Bryan and taking that WrestleMania 30 away from Daniel Bryan. Basically, you know, they just filled in the storyline gap, plugging John Cena into the Daniel Bryan role. Basically, you know, the Authority throwing a fit and saying they needed to get the championship off of John Cena at SummerSlam. And because of that, he shook the hand of Paul Heyman, and basically Triple H plugged Brock Lesnar is the #1 contender to go after the championship. So here we are. You got to wonder about Brock Lesnar. Was this the big third-year plan of his deal? You know, the whole time that he's been in WWE, when they brought him in from UFC, was it basically to come in and just, you know, run ruckshot over the whole WWE every time he came in there, just basically tearing shit up? Everybody can remember, of course, you know him running through John Cena at Extreme Rules, and from there moving on to the series of matches against Triple H, which led to CM Punk, which led to you know, breaking the Undertaker streak after, of course, breaking Big Show and Mark Henry's arms. You know, him winning the championship, coming up on the end of his deal. Was he just there in order to plug in some NXT FCW superstar to build the superstar of tomorrow? Because honestly, when I look at this, it makes it seem as if this is the perfect time for Brock Lesnar's contract to expire, for him to head off and finish his unfinished business, and have a guy like Roman Reigns pick up and be able to say that he beat the guy who beat the guy. Basically saying that Roman Reigns beat Brock Lesnar, who, you know, Brock Lesnar beat Undertaker last year, ending the streak. Lots of people talked about Brock Lesnar, you know, beating the streak of Undertaker last year. It's just, you know, Vince McMahon's way of shock value of people who basically held out and didn't order the WWE Network in order to see WrestleMania 30, would be able to, you know, go over to WWEnetwork.com, sign up, and be able to see this match as soon as possible. seeing how a lot of people knew that, Daniel Bryan was more than likely going to win the championship. It just seemed that, he was destined to beat Triple H. He was destined to beat Randy Orton, Batista in the main event. But Brock Lesnar beating The Undertaker and ending the WrestleMania streak at 21-0. I don't think anybody saw this happening. I remember having my face buried in my phone, just not really thinking that the Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker match was all that great. It's hard for me to watch back knowing that, Undertaker suffered that concussion minutes into that match, and it just wasn't the match that it should have been. Undertaker, for so many years, had the best match on WrestleMania, no matter how many times people doubted him, whether if it was, him and Batista not being the main event of the WrestleMania show, or him and Edge. Basically, a lot of people thinking that they wouldn't be able to live up to what the Mania before was. The first Undertaker versus Shawn match, a lot of people looked at as, these are guys that were a little bit older, that were just sort of plugged together, and it wasn't really supposed to make any sense. It was just supposed to be where both guys had a match on the card. And then, of course, the next, Shawn Michaels match was, there's no way in the world it can be as good as last one. And then the Triple H ones, people were pissed that Triple H was moving in on the streak, and some people were actually thinking that Triple H was just going to add to his ego of being the guy that beat the streak to sort of make up for, his best friend, Shawn Michaels, not being able to do it. But, lots of stories when you look back over that Undertaker streak and everything that went down. Roman Reigns, honestly, in my opinion, is one guy that just has had a horrible year with the fans. If you think about, coming out of the Shield, he looked like he was going to be the guy who got the most shine on him more than anybody. The Shield breaks up, he automatically gets plugged into the WWE Championship match, the Money in the Bank. Some people really thought that he had a chance of winning this title at that show and starting his reign then, and then of course they go to the Fatal 4-Way at the Battleground pay-per-view, which he wasn't able to win, and then he was going to go into a series of matches against Seth Rollins and try to get revenge for the Shield breaking up and get revenge on the attack on Dean Ambrose. And of course, he has the hernia injury. This is after the fans have really turned on him, not really paying attention to the Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns match at all. That was basically just built up because Roman Reigns and Randy Orton both couldn't agree who should be the #1 contender, so they were beating each other up, and neither guy were listening to Triple H, so he had to go out of the way to find another competitor to fight John Cena and take the championship on him. A lot of people were thinking that, Roman Reigns taking the time for his injury with his hernia would sort of create a want for Roman to come back. Roman shows up at TLC, causes a big, chaotic, scene, and people are really pumped to see him. And then immediately after that, Daniel Bryan announces that he's returning to the WWE. He's entering into the Royal Rumble, and basically what everybody thought was going to be an awesome win for Roman Reigns, he becomes yesterday's news, and everybody wants to see the Royal Rumble finish that we should have got the year before with Daniel Bryan winning. And next thing you know, Roman Reigns wins the Royal Rumble. Daniel Bryan doesn't. Fans are, basically starting fires on Twitter, basically throwing grenades at the WWE account saying, cancel the WWE network. It's the only way to get to Vince McMahon is show him that, when we don't subscribe, his stock, loses value, which means he loses money. And then he has to go, basically tell the investors that he fucked up, and he's gonna have to admit his mistake. That seems, with the Fastlane, they had a chance to plug Daniel Bryan into this main event match, and it just wasn't what they wanted to do. Basically, they're gonna stick with their plan. It looks like Roman Reigns is almost the guaranteed guy to go into this. I want to know, or I want to get the point across to anybody wondering about this match, if there is any other possible, finishes that could go on. As we saw with the story from Monday, Vince McMahon is trying to negotiate with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is trying to negotiate with the WWE. It's not known if Brock really wants to stay with WWE or he wants to test the waters, maybe see what Bellator, maybe see what UFC has to offer. Lots of stories out there about basically Dana White already talking to Brock Lesnar. You can have conversations off of the record. Dana White and Brock Lesnar have, a past relationship. They are, people who have done business together, but at the same time, they are, I guess you can borderline call them friends. They can sit down in the same room. Brock, doesn't go to a lot of the UFC shows, but he has shown up at a few. So, for them to have an off-the-record conversation would not be, sort of tampering or, there wouldn't be any trouble. There's been stories that basically when Big Show was signed away from WCW to WWE, basically that Vince McMahon had already worked out this deal with the Big Show basically a year beforehand. Big Show rolled through that last year of his WCW contract, knowing that once WCW finally released him, or he did get to the point where his contract expired, Vince McMahon was going to be waiting with open arms, bringing him in. Also with the Chris Jericho WWE Network show that came on, Jericho told the story of basically being under WCW contract, Vince McMahon inviting him to his house, and Vince just sitting him down at the table of all the people that were contributing into writing WWE, Monday Night Raw, and the upcoming storylines, and bouncing storyline ideas off of Chris Jericho, who was working for the Enemy at this time, never really throwing out a number, never really making an offer, but letting it be well known that, if you're going to be brought into the war room and you are going to be brought into basically creative, WWE really wants to have you and they really want you there. So basically, there was negotiations on Monday Night Raw. Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar got to a breaking point and Brock Lesnar left Monday Night Raw without a contract. Who knows if maybe this was predetermined by Brock that he was going to try and get the best deal out of Vince McMahon. And then as soon as, Vince McMahon and him came to a point when the best deal was on the table, he was going to leave and he was going to take that and be able to go to Dana White with it and say, this is the amount of money, this is the amount of dates that Vince wants me to work. How many dates do you want me to work? How many fights do you want to work on? How much are you going to pay me for these fights? And find out what is the best deal that Brock can get. So, honestly, I would not be surprised if Brock Lesnar wins the championship, or keeps the championship at WrestleMania 31, and, is the surprise guy to carry on the championship. It doesn't really make much sense with, it's sort of like the new Superman of the WWE being Roman Reigns, him losing his first WrestleMania main event. Maybe it'd be worked into part of the storyline for Roman to work hard throughout the upcoming year, much like John Cena after SummerSlam having to get better for the Night of Champions. And maybe Roman has to go through a whole year of trying to get bigger, trying to get better in order to beat Brock Lesnar, winning the Royal Rumble again and showing up at WrestleMania 32 and trying to make the match better to have a different outcome, much like Cena versus Rock with WrestleMania 28 and WrestleMania 29. Rock beat him at 28, Cena came back at 29 and was the better man. Who knows when The Rock will ever, get to the point where he says he wants his rematch for the WWE Championship. We've been waiting for a few years, but there is sort of little asterisks next to his name saying that he is the #1 contender, and maybe someday he'll want that match to be able to get back into the hunt of things. But we're gonna find out who the big dog is for the WWE. Is it Roman Reigns? Is it Brock Lesnar? In my opinion, I think it's going to be Roman. It seems like everything is tilted into his sort of wheelhouse. Where we go from here as Roman Reigns as a champion, I don't know. I was sort of thinking that Roman would turn at Fastlane. That would sort of add more to the triple threat that we never got. I thought that Roman might, join the Authority and sort of take on that sort of a role. But he's going to be that baby face where basically he has a big dark side to him, where basically, you know, everything's going to be out in the open, and maybe not everything makes sense that Roman does about being a good guy, and maybe that's why fans are going to like him. Whatever happens, we can't have another John Cena, because when people see that, you know, WWE is trying to create another John Cena character, he's not going to be Cena, and that's why people are going to turn against him. He has to have his own sort of personality. He has to have his a different sort of move set, and he has to show us that, you know, WWE is making a change. You know, for so many years, you know, they had Hulk Hogan at the top. From Hulk Hogan, they moved on and they put, you know, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, you know, for a short little period. They had other guys on top, but we're going to see who the top dog is. That's what the main event of WrestleMania is all about, and I'm geared up. I can't wait for WrestleMania 31. I'm going to put the Access shades on. I'll be there in Santa Clara, and we'll be counting it down. More videos to come. Peace out, everybody, and I'll see you guys down the road.